application for a special exception that ties in that we'll have to consider. And as stated, we've already looked at this in the past, so there are some factors that may have changed or information that was provided that may help in your rendering a decision. All right, so I would say this concludes our public hearing regarding the application for special exception. We did have comments that were submitted that we have as part of our packets. If you haven't reviewed those, I would recommend you do so. And with that, Chair, entertain a motion.
Is made. I do want to point out that Andreas Duani did write the code and did allow for a drive-through in this area. The form-based code is just that in the form of the with the approval or disapproval of the drive-through. At the last meeting, we did not see the structure that was being contemplated, and I think the height and scale of the property, the location of the drive-through, do make it important in review of this, and versus a one-story fast food restaurant, even a one-story bank set off the street. I think the form and scale of the building is a very important part of this application to decide on the drive-through.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments of the board? All right, Chair will entertain a motion. These are sometimes difficult. We have to really think through all the discussion and comments, and we appreciate your time today. Sometimes I have to pull a motion out of everyone, but I tend to vote last just so that I don't influence the vote. So I would ask that members of this board consider everyone's time and someone take the time to make a motion.
Okay, I'll proceed to make the motion, but I want to specify with staff, I'm going to make a motion to approve and tie it to the design rendering received, mandating the 3-story structure, the height described on the design, the masonry construction, and the exact site layout as the design shows. With that, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve with those conditions. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All right, with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Special exceptions approved. All right, we'll go to the next aspect of this location, which is 6703, 6653, regarding 250 St. Louis Street. Mr. Pipes, name and address for the record.
Yeah, Casey Pipes, 150 Government Street. This second aspect is related to what the staff calls a curb cut variance. The staff report says that a curb cut onto St. Louis Street is not allowed and that a variance is required. This is the curb cut to be the exit flow of the drive-through shown on the site plan. That curb cut currently exists. There's a curb cut there today, allowing access in and out of the surface parking lot from St. Louis Street. There's also access into the parking lot from the North Joachim Street side. But and so we've applied for the variance to allow this curb cut to remain on St. Louis Street. The actual regulation curb cuts on both streets, if you're on a corner, aren't prohibited by the Downtown Development District Code or the UDC or anything else. There is a prohibition in the appendix that says parking shall be accessed from secondary frontage where available. That's a quote from the appendix. And what you can see on the site plan is that the parking for this facility is accessed from the secondary frontage. Out of the building is in the corner, and the parking is just off of North Joachim. So, like we are accessing the design we've proposed. If anything, allowing this development and this design removes the situation you currently have where access to the parking lot is accessed off of St. Louis Street, or is at least accessible from St. Louis Street. So, but the staff wanted a variance application for the curb cut, so we've applied for it. This is an exit only to St. Louis Street, the A Street. People are not going to turn into St. Louis, turn into the drive-through and go backwards off of St. Louis Street to get into the bank or to get it to the parking lot. We think this is also necessary to the design. We were trying to put the building at the corner, right up next to the sidewalk, not have parking in front of the building, not have driveways cutting around the building and circling it and separating it from the street. So this design that has the traffic coming around the back of the building and out the side is necessary to locate the building where we are proposing to have it located on the lot. And again, we think this satisfies the map for Mobile core principles 3, 5, and 6 for strategic infill, high quality design, and strong downtown. We don't believe this curb cut onto St. Louis, which is essentially to allow a current curb cut to remain, it's not contrary to the public interest, and it would pose an unnecessary hardship to us if we were forced to get rid of that curb cut, because it would essentially make us put the building more in the middle of the lot and circle the building with the drive-through to come in and out on Joachim Street, which would result in a poorer design and a poorer walkability component by putting the driveway around the building and putting the building in the middle of the lot. We think the spirit of the UDC is observed, substantial justice is being done. I'm not even 100% sure we need this variance based on my reading of the appendix that has this requirement that you don't access the parking from a primary street, but we've applied for it. We were going to be here anyway, and we're happy to secure the variance again. It's just to allow the exiting traffic to leave St. Louis Street. And if you want to make a requirement that our people that are parking at the parking lot enter and exit on Joachim Street, that's fine with us. We view this as the drive-through exit lane, not the parking entrance or parking exit for the customers that walk in or for the employees that work at that facility.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Pipes?
I have a question. I do think reducing the width of the curb cut to a one-way 12-foot would be more in line with the area and reduce some of the neighbors' concerns about a large 25-foot curb cut to walk across it. And you just alluded to that would be something the applicant would consider?
Yeah, I believe this, the site plan you see, I think is from the original application that had 2 lanes. And I think the current plan is 1 lane, and so it would not need as wide of a driveway, as wide of that exit.
It appears in the Jade Consulting documents that, and I guess this is an old document as well. Let's see.
And Sorry. Any other questions of me before I might know the answer to the last question?
Yeah, we'll be. I know it's a formality, your name and address.
Doug Thomas, 1301 US Highway 98, Daphne. In terms of this, yes, this was our preliminary site plan. And I do think there was some confusion. We never had any intention to do a secondary drive-through lane. Our intent was to have the drive right up against the building. So this allows for what they commonly call a slip lane, where if there is a drive-through, I think we'd be fine to re-engineer site plan to limit a curb cut to 12 feet within reason. Like as Mr. Pipe stated, it's our intention to fit in with the city ordinances as well as possible. And so to have a minimized curb cut there, I don't think is going to be an issue for us.
That's great. Yeah, I think you could still possibly have the slip
Come out one
lane and then come down into one smaller curb cut.
Yeah, I think that can be engineered. We actually had talked to neighboring properties about trying to use one common curb cut that was already there. It was not, they were not in agreement for their business plan, but we did look at all possible engineering scenarios in terms of, hey, can we limit another curb cut and, kind of jut out and bump into a neighboring property? And it just wasn't something that they were agreeable to. And I understand that. They've got a business to run as well. So,
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right, anyone would like to speak on this application? Has anything to add? All right, opposition, anything to add? In formality, but name and address.
Kelly Baker, 254 State Street. So this diagram shows a 12-foot setback going across the
that's the setback.
drive-through. It's not 12 foot wide. That's talking about the setback.
Right.
Are you still talking about having the slip lane and the drive-through?
Yeah, you got that.
We've got to have kind of an order to things. Go ahead and ask your
So,
questions, and then we'll let him come
Because
back.
that's like 2 lanes of traffic. And I know that they're saying this is an exit only. How are we going to denote that? Because people trying to get to the bank cannot turn onto Joachim to get in there. They have to drive all the way around the block and come down Joachim and pull in. All day long, people who want to go to that bank are going to be either driving the wrong way into the exit, or they're going to be pulling in Greer's parking lot, parking and walking over, which Greer's doesn't want. If they have to put exit-only signs facing east and west, we've all seen how ugly that gets when someone has an exit-only drive-through because of what's happened on Government Street, et cetera, with all those drive-throughs at Waffle House, at PNC. What they have to do to denote an exit only. It would almost be better if that were the entrance to the bank and not the exit. However, then people would be hitting each other head on, people coming out the drive-through and people going into the bank. I'm just trying to figure out if there's any better way to let the people enter there and exit onto Joachim Street. It just makes more sense. But then I don't know where you'd put your drive-through. It just makes a lot more sense. I mean, that design right there funnels traffic around the block to get to that bank. No one's going to do that. All day long, people will be driving into Greer's, parking and walking over. I just wanted to point that out, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone has anything in opposition they want to add? Bless you. All right, Mr. Pipes, you got anything, or?
I'll be brief. In talking about it, like I said, the bank's got a very non-adversarial opinion of trying to be here. We want to fit in. I think that brings up a great point of, we were just talking about it a little bit. There's probably a way that we can do some landscaping. Our landscaping architecture plan is currently in process. There's probably a way we can landscape a little bit on that would drive slip lane and drive through out one exit. In terms of looking at the building and another, we've looked at multiple site plans here. The two things we really wanted, on-site parking and a drive-through. That's the two kind of non-negotiables when our board and our CEO plan a building. So in looking at that, if you come in on St. Louis and enter exit on Joachim, you're giving up. We even looked at if we could do the drive on the back, but you give up all your parking there. And so we've kind of come back to this is a pretty reasonable site plan for what the bank really needs to operate. And I'll answer any questions anybody has on that. But I think in terms, I can't control pedestrian, or I can't control motor vehicles and how they go up and down side streets. I mean, that's not.
Excuse me.
So, but I would be willing, I don't intend to put a bunch of signs out that are unsightly. If there's something that we could design that is fitting, a better looking landscape sign or something, bank's agreeable to do whatever we can without reason to fit in, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just so I can understand, so what, the way it's shown, I don't know what the width of that throat is on that curb cut. Do we know what that, is that a 24? What? On St. Louis?
I'm going to assume that since it's showing, I think the drive-through, each lane is 10 feet wide, so it's at least probably 22 feet. But
Yeah, with the radius.
well, I will point out though that the CRC hasn't, vetted this site plan
understand.
either for downtown.
No,
development
just
district
as
compliance.
shown is what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's about 22, not including the radii.
Okay, so what we're talking about, what Taylor is, for my own benefit, is reducing the size of the curb cut on St. Louis to where it's only passable by one vehicle. Is that what we're talking about? And then trying some way, signage or whatever, without being ugly,
Sure.
to keep people from turning into
Yeah.
the bank.
No, I agree. That's a great point. I think that he's brought it up. I can see a way that we can limit that. And I think we can build in something that is aesthetically pleasing that would prohibit or not prohibit, we're not going to put a crossing bar up, but would try to block all or
Or
motor.
one of those devices that if you go over it the wrong way, it blows
Yeah.
your tires?
I don't know if we're going to go that far. I don't want the liability, but I just think there's some way we can landscape that will deter cars from going in that way. And then once again, limit the curb cut so that it's as small as possible with one exit, so.
All right. I do think that's very important, and it's not that I don't agree with their positions on walkability. And I think having the ability, the potential ability for two cars to be going out in different directions and crossing, I think that could be dangerous and certainly create problems. So I'm with Mr. Atchison on that.
I'm in agreement there. I think that can be, I'm happy to try to accommodate that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions of the board? All right. That'll conclude our public hearing regarding this request for a variance. And I'm with the statement on trying to figure out how you direct traffic and everything. I mean, that's anywhere you've got an intersection like this, it can be difficult from a traffic engineering standpoint. Question for staff, and this is a CRC thing, probably more so. So when they look at the site and the design elements, based on the downtown development requirements, the building has to go street frontage closer to the street and parking to the back. Is that my understanding?
That is correct. The structure has to be located within 12 feet of the front property lines along the street frontages.
Yeah,
And
so that would prohibit the project from being closer to Joachim and, farther away and then having the drive-through on the east side.
Correct.
Okay, so that prohibits that idea, so. All right, thank you. All right, discussion of the board? Okay, and here we go again. Chair, entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve limiting the curb cut on St. Louis Street to 12 feet.
A motion with conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're on application 6704 regarding 706 Monroe Street. And welcome back, Mr. Millen. And we'll give everyone a little time to depart while the applicant comes to the podium. Okay, yeah. All right, so Mr. Metcalf is having to leave. Thank you. And so Mr. Allen has left, so that means we have 6 still remaining, and we have a quorum, so we can continue. I just wanted to make you aware that it takes 5 to approve a motion. Okay,
We've got all we need.
yeah, all right. Your name and address.
Lucy Barr, 3925 Spring Hill Avenue.
And you're requesting a variance to allow an existing residence to be less than 20 feet from the property line of downtown development. And so tell me the purpose of your variance. Why are you requesting a variance?
The new owners to the house would like to add onto the house on the rear property line, which backs up to Church Street Cemetery. When the house was built before the UDC, the setback apparently was much less than what it is under the new requirements with the UDC. So the existing dwelling right now at the closest about 6.76.5 feet. And we would like to add a little covered porch to that. And keep it in line with the rear wall of the house. Our increase down to 6 foot inches with what the rear wall of the house is presently. So we don't think that that would be an inconvenience to the cemetery behind us. And then to the right-hand side is the parking lot. So it shouldn't interfere with anybody over there.
Okay, and the side yard is acceptable?
The right side yard.
Yes, sir. The downtown development district regulations allow front and side yard setbacks to match those of adjacent structures, or in this case, the existing structure on the site. However, it does not make that exception for the rear yard setback. So that's why the variance application is before you today.
Okay. All right, questions of the board? And do you have something to add? You're here today, you sat through all this?
I'm the owner.
Okay.
Just support. She's
Moral support, okay. All right, once again, questions of the board? All right, anyone in the audience either in support or opposition? All right, we have none for the record. All right, well, that'll conclude our public hearing regarding your application for a variance. And Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve.
Yeah, a
Based on
motion
findings
to
of facts.
approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you for your time. All right, application 10, 6705, 6541 regarding 3366 Cottage Hill Road. Your name and address for the record, sir.
Dennis Langen, 3670 Riverview Drive.
And this is for an off-premise sign variance to allow an off-premise sign to be erected in a B3 Community Business District. The Unified Development Code requires all signs to be on the site. So you want to tell the board why we should consider this?
Well, I have this particular is going to be a car wash, like we need one more on the corner. But I have a shopping center across the street as well, and 25 years ago, I couldn't afford a sign like this. I don't know if I can afford it now, but to advertise for my tenants, and then also I was going to advertise for, in general, offer to nonprofit organizations to have a little bit more charitable time through the airwaves and other spiritual uplifting messages to go out there. But basically for my car wash and other advertisements, it will be a separate LLC involved on the sign.
Okay. Do we have questions of the board for the applicant?
I've got a question. So one of the primary uses of sign will be to advertise for your center across the street. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
As well as the car wash.
And you do have a sign on the center across the street already?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any additional questions? Do we have, and you may have to pull it up, pictures that show what all this is going to look like? I'm seeing the digital.
There is a picture, if you go to the application documents for this application, there is a rendering of what the sign would look like.
Okay, it says 200 square foot pylon sign. And it
10 foot
shows
tall
full
by
service
20 foot
wash
wide.
on it.
I'm sorry?
Only picture I see is, it shows, it says full service wash. I guess it's a,
Oh, it's a proposed digital sign, so the
Yeah.
graphic would change on it.
yeah.
Question for staff. What, are we providing any sort of variance on the size or the height, or just the fact that it's an off-premises sign?
The size and height comply as proposed. However, the advertisements of businesses not located on this property is what requires the variance.
Okay, thank you.
So if he had put this sign up and it was just advertising the car wash, then that would have been compliant.
Correct. That would be allowed by right.
But he disclosed that he was going to put more messaging on it than what? So he could have put it up and then added additional messaging, and we would have never known otherwise.
He's asking for permission rather than forgiveness.
Yeah, I see. All right, I understand.
And
Yes.
excuse me.
Yes.
If I have to put it under, create a lease from myself to another entity with another LLC, someone indicated that would be part of it, but I'll just cutting through the chase and going this way rather than asking for permission.
Right, I understand. We appreciate it. We have plenty of people asking for forgiveness on other things that we have to deal with. All right, questions of the board once again?
I don't have a question. I do have a statement though, and I appreciate the way you've gone about it because it seems like we see a lot who don't and come to us after the fact. I guess the thing I'm struggling with is the hardship here. I mean, you have a sign that's advertising the businesses on your current strip center, and for us to approve an additional sign that then we have very little control, and you're advertising your center plus the car wash. Just not sure that that just seems like we're going down a slippery path. But I don't see where. I mean, you have a sign on your existing property that advertises those businesses. You've got a car wash. You could have a sign that advertises that, to have the ability to advertise your other tenants. I don't know, it just seems like that could lead us down a path with others that could be very difficult.
Well, as far as, whether it's been done before or not, as far as this type of variance, how many people are doing it that did not ask for permission? I'm sure there are a lot of them out there, where they're doing like, kind, and trade outs with some of their vendors that come to their building, bug treatment, plumbers, what have you. The problem that I have is, and where I got this idea is that an advertisement company came to and tried to lease just a 3x3 area to put a billboard up. What's the difference of them putting something, if I created another LLC, would that not be suitable? Like another entity, whether Lamar Advertising or somebody coming in, and they put a sign up there, is there any difference if I'm creating it as under another LLC? It's a different business.
Is Lamar allowed to put additional signs up along the interstate?
So there was a billboard that was recently permitted nearby this site, just down Cottage Hill. Any new billboards along the interstate or anywhere in the city do have to have certain requirements as far as buffers from residential locations. And if there want to be a digital sign, then they have to remove the 3 faces from other signs that they own within the city that are not digital. So the conversion of signs to digital would result in the overall reduction of billboards within the city of Mobile.
So you could remove your sign on your strip center and then, I'm just kidding.
No. No, that's on another separate LLC. But as far as, putting a sign up, like say, it is a larger sign, a 10 by 20 for advertisements of other people that may want it. From my neighbor that's the church next door, I plan to give churches, nonprofit organizations, more so than what other people that are in the business all the time for.
All right, so I have a question. I can see where this could go too. How many other businesses do you have on that other sign?
It has potential for 14 spots.
On your current existing sign that's on your other property?
14.
You have 14,
positions.
you're approved for 14.
Correct. I think it was before you had a sign ordinance for how many advertisements or tenants' names you can put on a building. I mean, from 25 years ago.
Right. Well, I can see this being an informal billboard is what it's sounding like. So, and you could scroll 15, 20, 25 different, I mean, you could be sub-renting it out to somebody other than your existing.
I could.
Yeah, if we should approve this.
Well, I'm looking for advertisement, actually advertising for other businesses.
Yeah, that's what it could potentially be that. All right. All right. Any other questions of the board?
Yeah, one for staff.
Yes.
The idea and concept that he's proposing with the sign, there is a separate ordinance that requires that a business should have totally separate from the actual business that's there to do what he's talking about doing with that sign. He said he got a car wash, but he want to use the sign predominantly, to my understanding, as an advertisement so he can increase other revenue.
Correct.
Well, the zoning ordinance prohibits off-premise advertising except under certain criteria, and that's where the billboard regulations for the city come into play. Essentially, the billboard regulations are designed to not allow new billboards unless you, for example, as Ms. York was stating, if you propose to put up a digital billboard, then you have to take down faces from 3 other billboards. So you're reducing the total number. And so typically, when you have a business, you're only supposed to be advertising your business on your property. And then if you go through a process to get a billboard approved, then you would be allowed to do what's called off-premise advertising, which would allow you to put signs up for any other business, but that's not located on your property.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of the board for the applicant? Okay, do we have anyone in the audience either in support or opposition? We have none for the record. Thank you, sir. That'll conclude our public hearing regarding this application. I'm not sure if it was Mr. Milling or who, but I question whether or not this is just a different form of a billboard, and we're just creating another line of opportunities for unofficial billboards. So anyway, with that, Chair, entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to deny.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to deny with a second. Do I have any further comments, questions? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. The request is denied. All right, we had minutes. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes? Any corrections? All right, with that motion to approve the minutes as presented, they were for January 6, 2025, February of 2025, and March of 2025, for the record. All right, Chair, entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. A motion carries. Minutes are approved. All right, any other business for today? And I know our attorneys are not here, but
No, but we do have an update for you. Several of you have requested an update about the car sales on Government near the Greyhound bus station. I got the joy of testifying in court last week with Doug about that site, and the judge has signed the injunction giving them 14 days from last Thursday to comply with your conditions, or else the sheriff will be there to shut the business down. So hopefully by this meeting next month, we'll either have a compliant business or there won't be one.
okay.
Well, and-
Question, is that the one that's adjacent to Captain D's?
I think it's 2 lots over. It's next to the VFW post.
Okay, well, that will be your next one to visit, because that one's encroaching as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's from the same people or different people, but that's on our radar.
All right. All right. Yes.
That is still ongoing. I'm not sure what the current dates are for that. That has not yet, no, sir. I don't. That is still ongoing, yes, sir.
Yeah, that trial was supposed to be this month, but it has been postponed.
Okay, thank you. That'll conclude our hearing, our variance meeting. Thank you again for being here, Taylor.